today I'm going to read some poems, a few poems, and I'm going to explain them a little bit as I go because I think one of my roles as poet laureate is to educate the public about what is a poem and how I write, the process of writing a poem. And so, as most people know, poems are not memoirs. They're actually uh, realism that is an emotional realism, not an actual realism. So you take an idea and then you run with it. And it may be on something that actually happened, or it may be just something based on a prompt that somebody says, write about these. Here's 4 words, stick them in a poem, and so you write a poem. And so sometimes they sound real, but really the hope is that the words emotionally grab you, and that's what I think is important. So I'm going to start with a poem that is not published. It was written for a friend, a poet friend, and he was going through chemotherapy, and other poets thought it would be nice to write a poem and have him have access to poetry while he's going through this hard time. And by the way, he's fine now. This is a several years old poem. With hope. The day wanes not just because the days grow shorter, more because we look harder for that time when rest becomes reprieve. Birdsong lengthens, and I think I can begin to believe the hard months are winding down. Expectation slowly measures out how we embrace those we care about, those who still struggle but still hope nevertheless. That is what the dusk of evening in Puget Sound echoes on a gull's guttural cry, wishing hope to all that need it now as the sun sets over the horizon. And so one of the things you'll notice as I read that, there's a few words that echo each other, some of which rhyme, some of them are what we call assonants. They almost sound like a rhyme but aren't quite, and that's what makes a poem work rhythmically and musically. I'm going to go on to, I have, I think, 3 poems that have been published by Raven Chronicle, I'm not Raven Chronicles, Raven's Perch. And I love that journal, by the way, mainly because they like my poems. But this one was not necessarily real, but it was based on this group I belong to going to Wolf Haven, and so I wanted to write a poem about wolves. Paying the moon is its due. It might have begun this way. Each night wolves hunted, the moon their guide. Sometimes large, sometimes a sliver, enough light to teach them night is night, a good time to roam. Moonlight is a time for food and family and learning patterns of seasons. That might be how it was. At least, I'd like to believe that. Routine, a helix in each of us, pulls us to pattern and expectation and continuity. Families find this thin connection around light or closeness, or both. But what if the moon disappeared? A lunar eclipse gradually going into dark. Wouldn't you stop too? Look up and beg for its return? Maybe that is how it began, that aching howl, that begging of fear that the moon will forget to come back. So that each night now begins with cries, letting the moon know how much it would be missed, and we look up, wolves and humans alike, and recount to each other in our own way. The moon came back, and we are grateful for the light. So, as I said, sometimes I just write a poem based on prompts or whatever is a sliver of truth. But this next poem, which is a little long, it was also published by Ravensburch, and it's in my forthcoming book, That Wild Knocking. But it's actually based on two incidences. And when I started writing, I've always wanted to write about the first part of this, but when I started writing, I realized there's this connection with this other incident, and I pulled the two together. The elk crosses the Duckabush tributary with me. Because the unmarked crossroad leads to a matted hideout, and because I stagger like the elder sister I will parody one day, the pole and my small feet pick my way across this moving glide of sparkles. In front and behind, occasional splashes of hook-jawed chum distracts my state of mind. They don't care if the barricade of skinny legs moves like limbs down from age, storm, or beaver. My boss, already across and waiting, excuses the outlier of me, not sure why, either stuck with me or awed by my deficient spunk. Ignores the trembling of ankle wobbling, the cobbles never solid as they should be. Unlike under his size 14 that says, "Balance me, damn it." Does he know I refuse hyperbole, since my balance is based on belief alone? Hal's voice rings out, a God echo, finally registering. Look up to your right. Yes, there walks the elk, rack the largest I've seen still moving, escorting me to the other side. He struts 8 feet away from my shoulder. Does he know my vulnerability, my alien body, not yet adapted to this river? Sometime earlier, I was trying to cross an 8-lane street in Cairo, Egypt, my son-in-law wondering why I had not followed him across, my daughter home in their apartment, waiting for twins to arrive. The son-in-law with hands on hips, impatient or so stressed he doesn't know what to do with timid mothers-in-law. A half block away, a man in his galabeah looks at me and nods as if he had grabbed my hand. And I cross with him, and with another nod, he entered the netherworld of shadow streets before I could thank him. Oh, elk, thank you, thank you. I cross between life and death, a visitor that braces herself to accept kindness wherever it is offered. I'm going to take a break from the ones that were published by the Ravensburch, and this poem was the Olympia Poetry Network celebrated our 35th anniversary with an anthology called Let It Burn, Let It Float. And I'm one of the founding members of this, so 35 years with this group. And so I'm going to read this poem. And again, well, first of all, I love birds, so I'm always out there with them. And sometimes I think I should just talk to them. They twitter back somehow. So this one is about a swallow, a violet green swallow. The violet green swallow teaches me to fly, beginning with music like speaking in tongues, and everyone knows the song because it is their song in their language. What if all dancing ends with a bird in the hand and you identify it as a violet green swallow, dark until light turns its rump iridescent, your palm a stage? What if tomorrow you find cavities in trees or cliffs, and there nests this fork-tailed avian, and like the throat of our conversation, the language heard is the Holy Spirit. It is then I will try to fly with her, try to tell the flapping wings that brush my arm. I will speak in birdsong. All I ask of this metallic greenback sky elf is to bring me good luck so I can sing a song of joy. Flap my elbows as I dive for midges and gnats. That, by the way, the anthology is lovely, and you might still be able to get copies of it if you contact the Olympia Poetry Network. So I'm going to finish up with another poem by the Raven's Perch. And this is a poem why I threw it in at the very last minute, because it's a sonnet. And I think it's good to be exposed to different forms. Several of the poems I've done for the city are different types of forms. And this, of course, there's some rhyming in it. And again, it is because it is a sonnet and you work with certain words in order for them to rhyme. This has no actual experience. It's just I've dealt with the words. Moon's lighted circuit. The moon shines iridescent, as if quicksilver rides on its shoulders, leaning over to whisper. O gemstone, diamond, turning jewel, opal. You glow as radiant as reflection, a mirror ball. Yes, as if you rest in the desert, becoming a mirage, and I wait for the strokes of your light to massage me into hot ash, flickering like an ember, but still waiting for his shadow to glimmer as you light his body against the doorway, a mosaic of expectation in each foot sway. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the poems that I've read today, and maybe I'll have a chance to read some more later. Thank you.